All right, guys. Welcome. Sorry. Can you hear me? Oh, by the way, excuse us. This is the first time we host a large panel as this large with that. So, excuse me, it's a little bit stressful. So it's the first time. So please give us a break if possible. So allow us to start. First of all, good evening. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our very first Tech Talk Palestine. This is a webinar and panel discussions about digital marketing. First of all, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Ahmed. I am very excited to be your host today throughout this insightful discussions about digital marketing, especially because I'm the marketing manager at Tab. This is really filled into my everyday job. So, and with me will be co-hosting is Diana.
Diana, please. Yeah, and I'm Diana, the community manager at Tab. I'm really happy to be here. And yes, I'm co-hosting with Ahmed today. And as he said, it's our first Tech Talk webinar in Palestine. So it's super exciting for Tab and us and everybody. We have a very incredible lineup of speakers to talk about digital marketing today, to share their experiences and their insights. So we're hoping to hear some of that.
All right. Thank you, Diana. Before we begin, actually, we will take a moment to express our gratitude to our teammates at Tab who helped facilitate this webinar. Tab is a Dutch Palestinian startups in a mission to provide comprehensive trainings and support for individuals in Palestine and hopefully in the future across the MENA regions to help the youth enter the global remote job markets. We believe in sharing knowledge and information is essential to help fostering the youth professional growth and make a positive impact on people in the less fortunate areas in the regions. Initially, allow us at the beginning, in the first steps, let us introduce our panel. I will give you each 5 minutes to introduce yourself. So let's start with you, Catherine.
Sure. Hi, my name is Catherine. I'm originally from Denmark, in case anyone was wondering, because it says Palestine under my name there. I'm based in Palestine, and I have been there for about 4 years now. I'm currently running my own marketing agency in Palestine, and I've worked with different tech startups and startup enablers within the Palestinian tech ecosystem, such as Gaza Sky Geeks, UMake, Tawazun, things like that. And prior to that, I was living and working in London, Berlin, and Amsterdam, also working with various tech startups doing marketing. So you could say I have a little bit of a broad background in marketing or within the field of tech. So I think the sort of common denominator has always been being scrappy and making the most of tight budgets and trying to figure out how to move things forward when things seem difficult. So happy to share some thoughts on that today.
Thank you, Catherine. John, the floor is yours.
Yes, tight budgets. I know about that. I'm John Kowalski from the United States. Nice to meet you all, and happy to be here. My experience is primarily in the business-to-business arena with a lot of industrial manufacturers as well as technology companies. I'm currently head of marketing for BIC Instruments, which is a color technology company around quality control, making sure the bumper of your automobile is the same color as a door, tools like that. I also do consulting, primarily, again, B2B, and as Catherine said, it's always tight budgets on my side of the fence as well. You're always having to get scrappy, do what you can and do the best you can with what you have in terms of budget, resources, technology, team members, or anyone you outsource to. I'm pretty much a generalist as well, but I emphasize on branding, strategy, and program development, and of course, digital marketing. I love digital marketing. It's always changing, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But thank you. Glad to be here.
All right. Okay, I'm sorry. I struggled with your name, Gaurav. Gaurav, you're mute.
Sorry about that. Yes, Gaurav is the correct pronunciation. Thank you for that. And thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to be in this webinar. So I'm basically originally a marketing professional and worked extensively in offline regular marketing that used to be. And then as we proceeded, it was a sort of a learning curve for me when digital marketing happened, because as some of you, Catherine, John, and the others would know, that as we go up in the marketing ladder, we don't actually physically do the stuff. There is a team which does it. So I had already reached that point, and then I realized that all the stuff that my team was doing in digital marketing, I had no clue about that. I would just tell them to create an ad or post it on this or post it on that, and do the media planning. And it was much later, probably like 5-6 years back, when I realized that it is something that I need to know myself as well, because there would be times when typically you would be understaffed and you'd never have extra people ever anywhere. So you end up finding people not well or calling in sick or for some reason not coming in for a deadline. And as a manager, I would have no idea what to do. So I learned this all through those typical Google certifications and on job training. I would call my juniors to come and teach me how to do stuff. I've done that now. So the reason I was giving this was that digital marketing is a great place to be in, even for people who've not done it before, even for people who are of a certain age where they think that it's not something they will be able to learn. It's not that. Creativity is essentially for a person to, there is some bit of it is inherent. And thanks to AI and all the software that is available, a lot of it can be learned in these days. So be it Palestine or be it any other place in the world, it's just our imagination which is the limit. We can learn it, and it's a great place to be. It's a great category to be in. Everyone needs it. And while even with AI, which is the latest talk of town, people would think that AI would do everything. That's not true. You need to know the right prompts. You need to know what it has to do, and it will help facilitate. So everything is really enabling. And I would love to talk more about that. Otherwise, I can keep going on, and everyone will get bored. So thank you again for having me here.
Ahmed, you're muted. But Gaurav, that was very insightful and actually sets a tone to like what we're going to be talking about today. So thank you. Bo?
Yes. It's nice to meet everyone today. I'm excited to be part of the project. So my name is Bo van der Meulen, and I'm based in Dubai in the UAE. I've lived here for the past 15 years, but I am originally Dutch from the Netherlands. I work for the company Osnutria for the brand Cabrita, and I'm the brand manager here. So I'm in charge of just making sure the brand's identity, image, and reputation stays consistent across all our marketing activities, medical activities, trade activities. So I get to be part of a lot of different departments, which is fun, but primarily the marketing and our digital activities. We're a very small team. Actually, I was the first marketing hire back in November for the team, but now we're a team of 5. But this means, we're very hands-on. We really work as a team with all our campaigns, marketing activities. So, that's a little about me.
Okay. I'm excited. I'm really happy to meet all of you guys. So I think we have one more person, Fulshad. Me and Ahmed were trying to figure out how to pronounce your name, so please.
Oh, that's fine. So it's Folashade. But you can call me Fola. That works just fine.
We were close.
Hi everyone. It's
were
good
close.
morning. It's good morning from here. It's about 9:16 here in Canada. my name is Fola Shade, and I am a content marketing person. I don't like to call myself a specialist, and I like to say that I really can relate with the people at TAP, because 3 years ago I used to be a veterinary doctor back in Nigeria, right? And why getting into tech, and especially no-code tech, is a big deal, and it's a it's a leveler and an opportunity, right, for people to get on an equal field and make to build a good career. Okay, sorry, just give me 1 minute. Let me get myself together. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that I get, how tech is a good opportunity, especially when you come from a country. So I'm originally from Nigeria. Now I live in Canada. I'm a permanent resident in Canada, but I'm originally from Nigeria. And I get how, the ecosystem, especially when you go to school and you study one thing and it's another thing that the economy needs, and then you need to, move careers so that you can have, a good opportunity at building a life for yourself, and not just making money, but having a flexible life. Yeah. So that's why I say that I can relate, with the students at TAP. So I transitioned into tech in October 2020, and it was literally from taking a course, a HubSpot certification content marketing course, and I got a role as a content marketing associate. But I've since gone from there, to work with like different companies. I got a job in Canada last year while I was still in Nigeria, as a content marketing manager, and I've gotten to work with like a couple of companies. Now I do a bit of consulting. I'm also an in-house content marketing person, maybe majorly brand strategy and content marketing for a remittance, company here in Canada. So if anyone can relate to the whole idea of moving into, digital marketing, maybe you want to get into tech, but you don't like to code, the technical part is not for you, and you think that you have a chance at marketing, I can relate, and I can share my experiences, the different things I did, the certifications I had to take. I joined CXL at some point, right, to, level up my skills. I had mentors. So I'm open here. I'm here to share all of that with you, and also building a personal brand so that you do not have to totally rely on the job market, to get to work with the type of people you want to work with. Yeah, so that's me.
Right. Thank you very much for Shade. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I was very close initially, but yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone, for introducing yourself. We're very happy and very excited to our coming discussions, and let's jump into it. Initially, we want to discuss the perspective of the current state of digital marketing, especially in the light of a lot of changes that happens in the last year. For example, in the last 2 days, there's a new app that's growth went beyond the wildest dream of Meta. It's like 70 million within 2 days. This is the ultimate dream for any mobile apps. And in the last the changes in the last few years in the last few months in AIs and language models and all these changes that has transformed digital marketing. And before the talk, we were talking with Jones about how fast-paced changes that's happened in digital marketing. So, John, maybe we can start with you here. And
sure,
yeah.
Sure.
John, sorry, I just want to say something right before. I just want to encourage everybody to to be actively listening and to take notes during discussion, any questions you guys may have, because we will hold a 15-minute Q&A section afterwards. So sorry, go ahead, John.
No worries, Deanna. Yeah, as Ahmad mentioned, digital marketing is changing rapidly. And I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. Like he mentioned, we were talking before the seminar, and Thrive, the new social platform by Meta, just launched a couple days ago, and it's kind of took me by surprise. And I think people are trying to figure out where it fits in the realm of all the other social platforms and how to use it, personally and for business. And I saw a lot of jokes on there. Okay, Threads just dropped now. Okay, we need the social media strategy updated by noon tomorrow. Things like that. And I think it's it's an exciting time. It doesn't have to be stressful. I think it's just rolling with things and taking these new technologies, these new tactics in as they come. And we're all learning at the same speed, at the same time. It's new for everyone. So don't be afraid to try things, to experiment, but always keep in mind who your audience is, what your message is, support, with every activity you do, support and strengthen your brand, because that's what's gonna, take you in a sustainable way and keep you relevant over time, specifically with your target audience.
Interesting.
Anyone agree, disagree? You can disagree. All good.
No, actually, this is actually quite sorry. Catherine, you have something to say. Sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to second John here and quote my university professor who called herself No Nonsense Helen, who said, everything you learn in class today is already outdated. So the biggest skill really is understanding the strategy and the bigger picture behind what you're trying to achieve with your digital marketing, and then the ability to stay updated with everything that's happening. Like a lot of what I've seen happen over the years is that we've gone from having a bunch of generalists who are doing a little bit of everything, but they're not really succeeding at much. And then people start specializing, and in some way, we've become so focused on specializations that now AI to some extent can replace that. But like Gaurav brought up before, we'll never be able to fully replace that, because you have to see yourself as a marketeer as yes, you should know what your certain skills are, because we can't all be perfect at everything within digital marketing, like every single channel, but you need to see the bigger picture and know where your skill is, know what tools you can bring in to help make your work life easier, and where you need to delegate to other people or bring in extra resources to make sure that you get the work done in a good way. And I think that's a realization that's slowly starting to dawn on people, because the way that some people have reacted to AI entering the market, they're afraid that they're going to lose their jobs, but the people that will lose their jobs are effectively the mediocre people that have specialized in very lower level type things that can only really contribute so much to the business growth. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that.
Actually, it's nice that you mentioned the language models about the AI that's impacts, and it's pretty much I wanted to move them for Shade about you, because you are content managers in general. You specialize in content management, and how for example ChatGPT or Bard from Google do you think will affect content creations at this moment?
Okay, so here is it. And so there are 2 categories of people when it comes to AI and content and writing, right? There are the people who totally detest it and think, it's going to take over their jobs. I mean, if you put in a prompt on ChatGPT to bring out, an article for you, I have a colleague who did that and said, ChatGPT gave a series of prompts, and he published the article, and it was ranking in a couple of minutes, he was on the first page of search. So ideally, there are 2 categories of people. There are people who will be afraid of that, and then there are people who are confident and saying that ChatGPT cannot take my job. But here's what I think that AI is not here to take anyone's job, and I feel like it's more of an enabler and a better way to do your job. So if you understand how it works, right, you can use it to even amplify your work. And here's another thing, right? If you were a type of marketer or a content writer that all you were doing, before AI came on board was to go on the first page of search, look for the articles that were ranking and just put them together and publish, then you should be afraid, right? Okay, sorry, I would try to talk more slowly. But if you were the type of person who was intentional about creating a strategy, who spoke to customers, who collaborated across teams, interviewed customers, spoke to small subject matter experts, right? And put all of that in your article, like actual valuable information, and not just regurgitating what's on the first page of search, then you know that your job is secure, because whatever content you put out is genuinely helpful. It is coming from a subject matter perspective, right? And it is something that your readers are going to read and be like, oh wow, this is a new point of view in this. So I feel like marketers should learn to, especially content marketers, which is my forte, should learn how to use ChatGPT. There are ways to use ChatGPT. There are prompts, there are prompts that you can put on ChatGPT to help you do your work better. But you see, here's the thing. We are humans. People are humans. Marketing is a human to human. I know that there is the B2B, there is the B2C, but eventually you're talking to humans, you're selling to humans. And I don't think AI is going to ever get to that place of the nuances of, of the subject matter expertise, right? I don't think AI is ever going to get there. And eventually you're going to need to, and then there is the whole part of, talking your brand tone, your brand voice. ChatGPT may try, but you really can't do that. ChatGPT can't, interview your customers and ask them what pain points, they are going through, and then convert that into an article that they will read and, find really engaging. So I would say that the best way to look at it, especially for content marketers, for content writers, is to stay excellent, right? But still find a way to let ChatGPT make your work easier. Let it shorten sentences for you. Let it find, data for you, and then put that together with your human angle, with your strategy, with talking to your customers, with relating across products, talking to your sales people and asking them, what did our customers complain about? When you were in that demo session, what did they tell you, right? What was the feature that they liked? How can we incorporate that into our content? If you do that and then bring AI to leverage your work, it's just going to make it better. So you've written an article, you've done so well, you've spoken to your customers, then you can just, tell ChatGPT, how can I optimize this for search? And ChatGPT helps you do that. And then your work is like a 10 over 10.
Awesome. I definitely agree with it. And Gaurav, do you want to add on to that? This is like, let's make this discussionable.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Jump in.
Thank you. So I just wanted to, something that Fulashade said actually intrigued me into a possibility in the future, which I don't know whether it will happen or not, but when she said that marketing is essentially ultimately human to human, and I completely agree with her as of today, I wonder if in the future there'll be a model which comes in marketing from one AI chat, like Bard advertising on ChatGPT, or there are multiple chat options. So maybe there would be some machine-to-machine advertising in the future. Who knows? But having said that, I do feel that in terms of the question which we have on the screen, in terms of the current state of digital marketing, I think the more I love this phrase, which for me seems to work frequently, which is the more things change, the more they remain the same. So I'm saying this in the sense that with so much happening in the digital field, with so much activity happening, as John had earlier mentioned and Catherine talked about it as well, this idea that we have to be abreast of whatever is happening, whatever changes are coming in, is absolutely there. But ultimately, when I say more things change, the more they remain the same, at the end of the day, it all boils down to how much we are connected to the potential customers and how much we differ, some appear, some disappear. But at the end of the day, it is our connect. And for that connect, at least as on today, I think a human understanding of what is the product that we are selling, what is the service that we are catering to, who are we catering the product or the service to, and what are they expecting, what are their needs that we are fulfilling. That ultimately is at the core of everything, and that I don't think is ever going to change. As of today, in terms of the digital marketing space, I think we are completely into an omni-channel approach, and whenever we are advertising a certain product or service, we are looking at all the digital channels, the website, social media platforms, mobile apps, email marketing, all of this connected with, if the people have the budget, connected with on ground real life marketing on television or whatever, but mostly it is digital, especially for the younger generation. And then luckily with digital, we are able to personalize marketing, which was not possible earlier. And now I think it's becoming increasingly more and more personal. And we all, probably all of us here who are not even in marketing, were just here to be in this discussion. Probably we've noticed we've got this eerie feeling at times where we are speaking with somebody on the phone and talking about, for example, which cooking oil to buy. And suddenly we see on Facebook some ads coming up for cooking oil. And then we get scared and are they listening? Yes, they are listening. Amazon is listening and they say that they're listening. So it's becoming so personalized that you're talking to somebody. It happens every day. So basically what I'm saying is that is, we can be scared of it or we can use it to our benefit in terms of the product or service that we are launching. On top of that, there is this, beyond the personalized marketing, there is influencer marketing, which again, it's both sides to the coin. There are some influencers who just would sell anything that they're paid for. And there are some who don't really get paid in cash, but they do get benefits of some sort or the other. And they influence whatever product or service you want them to. And now there's a new trend. Again, it's not really new. It's a couple of years at least. It's been on the de-influencer marketing where they actually pick up products or services from influencer marketing and they talk about how it is, what are the challenges with it, or how it is not as good as it is advertised and stuff. And the latest thing is that even with the de-influencer marketing now, we have companies which are paying de-influencers to downplay the competitors' products. So these are the things which we as marketers need to be aware of at all points in time. And this will just keep changing. We'll find ways of doing something good and there'll be something negative coming out of it. But ultimately, two things that I net take out is that from all of this, that influencer marketing, de-influencer marketing, whether it is channels, most of the audiences today, even the older ones, I am a big reader. I love reading books of all sorts. But even for me, I think when I'm on digital platforms, my attention span for reading long articles is very, very low. I go, whether it's on LinkedIn or whether it's on any other platform, I just look at videos. And also with videos, I prefer videos which are shorter, which also have some sort of a subtitles. So there are times when I'm sitting in a public space, I don't want to listen in on the video and I don't want to put in my headphones, but the video can go on and have the subtitles to read. So I think video influencer is it's just going to continue more and more. And that's all from my side.
I definitely agree actually with the whole video scenario, because like if you go on like any like the applications like YouTube or any type of the media, you'll immediately just find like the slot that says shorts. And so even like TikTok videos, in order for it to be attractive for people or to receive more views or whatsoever, it's like, okay, the shorter, the more effective, the more attractive, or so on. So yeah, definitely agree that how it's becoming more personalized to how we want things to be super quick. But yeah,
Right.
so anyone want to jump in? Oh yeah, go ahead.
Bo, there is Bo.
Yeah, Bo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I wanted to say that I completely agree with what everyone is saying, and all these new apps that are coming out now, such as IA, ChatGPT. I don't think we should be necessarily scared of it taking over, because we can use them to our advantage, make certain tasks easier. But if you completely rely on these apps to do all your marketing and all your campaigns, it's not going to reach the audience and get the results that you want.
Yeah. Catherine?
So 2 points from my side. To answer the question in the comment section, you have to be a strategic specialist, in my opinion. You need to be strategic overall, but you need to hone a certain area of marketing. Like we used to have the idea that you're either brand-centric or performance marketing-centric. And today, it seems like most people in this room are actually more on the brand communication side of things. Until a few years ago in Europe, like when I worked in Amsterdam, for example, there was no money for branding. Everyone was putting all their money into like performance marketing. And now people are starting to realize that like being brand centric is performance marketing. So this kind of like full circle moment with those two are meeting is what's happening now, which is really great. But it also means that you need to be able to be on the top of that and look down at like what the different options are so that you can understand I can do this myself and the rest I need help with, or I need, I don't know, to like structure my plan in a way that I can do the most in-house. So definitely be a specialist. There's very little room for being a generalist who's not really good at anything. Nobody wants to pay money for that, and you won't be able to really achieve much for a company. On the topic of content, I think I have a little bit of a controversial opinion on that, because as much as we're moving towards shorter, faster content that's like 30 seconds or so, I also do find that there's like a bit of a shift happening, that like people are not only looking for the short form content, like people are actually willing to like read the more longer form content if the quality is there. So this comes back to what Fola Shadib, is that correct? Yeah, said earlier, that like when you can add a fresh take on something and really bring in this unique perspective and create, you know, beautifully crafted content with perspective and, you know, context, and it's well researched, like that people will read always, even if it's super long. Like I write regularly on LinkedIn, for example, and my posts are very, very long. And I've had people tell me like, oh, I don't know why you're writing such long posts, like nobody's reading it. And I'm like, well, I know everyone's not reading it, but people are reading it. I've had client meetings with people that I met for the first time, and they read something I wrote 9 months ago and they quoted it back to me like word for word, like they could remember it. So I do very much believe in like the power of good quality content, even if it's not short. But when it comes to the snappy messages, yes, you have to be direct, funny, engaging, and sharp, and capture people's attention immediately. You can't beat around the bush and like add in too many like descriptors that don't really add any value anyway. So yeah, that's what I want to say.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
We start with
Yeah.
John and then jump to Fola.
Sure. No, I'm on board with Catherine and really the whole panel here. The content, whether it's short, whether it's long, it has to be quality and it has to be relevant for your audience. And, you know, get to the point. The flowery descriptive language, nobody has time for that anymore, unless you're sitting, you know, in your chair reading a fiction novel. You know, you need to communicate, and you need to communicate it quickly, but also that personal side of things, that human and empathetic element needs to be part of your content and needs to be part of your marketing. How do you, with your product or service, solve a challenge for your audience? How do you make life easier? How do you remove stresses for them? Make it personal, put your customer hat on, live a day in their life, and then communicate appropriately. What would they want to hear? How is your product or service different than other things in the market? There's a lot of moving parts and pieces, but you know, I tend to, my approach, you have your brand up here. And of that brand, you may have a list of brand assets, what you stand for and what you're about from an organization. From there, I use that as my checklist with every piece of content, whether it's written, video, a social media post, something on LinkedIn, a trade show event, something where you're physically there. If that messaging does not support your brand assets, you're off strategy. That's the only way to make sure you have that repetition, you have that consistency, and you're continually building that brand and strengthening it over time. If this isn't a quick thing, you know, a lot of CEOs, presidents, oh, we need to generate leads, you know, well, we need to do a lead generation campaign, you know, what can we see in a week? It's like, okay, you can do those quick hit things, but to be sustainable, to be an organization that grows and builds over time, you have to do it from the foundation. And I'm a firm believer in brand and supporting those brand assets in everything you do.
Okay, thank you. Folashade, you were adding.
Yes, I was gonna say three things, right? I was going to say that short or long content, your target audience is the most important part. If you're selling a high ticket offer, if you're selling a B2B, product that is going to cost thousands of dollars like per year, then you want to create content that is long, that is insightful, and will convince the executives that will be making that money decision. You want to educate them. And for different stages of the marketing funnel, there are different types of content that caters to that. And I just wanted to support what Catherine said with long form, that people read long form content. I used to work for a fintech company that we used to do a lot of long form articles about 1,800 to 2,500 words. And when we checked on Search Console, we saw that people were spending as long as 6 minutes reading these articles because they found it like super helpful. And so like we have data to support that people read long form. But then there is also the part of breaking your long form down for people with the short attention span, right? And then making them into videos, making them into threads and LinkedIn posts. So I was just going to say that. And then the other thing I was going to say is that I feel like people are moving more into brand marketing and making sure that they are actually engaging their audience and providing value, because there is, okay, so initially in the tech industry, there were just like a number of like startups that could provide some services, and then people were competing on core technology. But now, like, we have so many of them, right, especially in Africa, that so many fintech startups providing the same product, and now you have to now tell us how you're different. And the only way you can do that is through your brand, is how you communicate. So I feel like that's a major reason why there's a shift in just running random ads that just sell the products and don't nurture the customer or nurture the prospect, to now trying to build brand affinity, creating different types of content. Yeah, so that's just what I wanted to add to what you guys have said.
Gaurav?
Hi. Yeah, actually, Folashade has covered it quite well. That's what my point was as well, that content is definitely important, visuals are important, and it ultimately boils down to which audience we are targeting and what are they looking for. So there would be a lot many people who would be looking for detailed information and long form articles. There would be people preferring videos, there will be long videos, short videos. And you have a larger story, and then you break it down into smaller units and modules and communicate with each one the way it works.
All right. That's very insightful, guys. And you answered a lot of the questions I have. I was preparing for this main topics, to be honest, but especially that you covered the impacts of the language model that's appeared in the previous month, and how they will impact the marketing in general, especially that people are still gonna need. Also, it will impact some of the low quality, or for example, mediocre content creators. It won't impact people who create quality contents. But I was just a little bit wondering, do you think will change the job market for content creators or for digital marketing in general? Will this have like, for example, harsh impact on certain jobs? For example, I will jump a little bit. You spoke about relevancy and high quality content, which is pretty much related to SEO. But SEO is also changing. The search engine optimization is changing completely with the new Google the newly introduced BART. Well, not BART. The new Google introduced in their most recent I/O introduced the new search result, which is work instantly like ChatGPT. My question is, how do you think those changes in digital marketing will affect careers and jobs in digital marketing world? And
from my standpoint, I think it's absolutely going to solidify the importance of digital marketers. now and even more so in the future. But they have to do it right in order to, maintain and continue, growth and momentum. I think using the new tools, continually learning. I've been doing this, marketing thing for 25 plus years, and it's like, oh, Threads came out, something new to learn. It's always changing, and that's what makes digital marketing exciting. And it doesn't matter, from my standpoint, whether you're B2B, B2C, a product, a service, digital marketers, content creators, it's only going to increase in importance. You have to communicate. You have to communicate effectively, efficiently, to get your point across, get your message out there. And I think with the AI and ChatGPT, tools like that, as we discussed, yes, it can help, but it's missing that human element. It can help with an outline, with a draft, with research, with sentence structure, things like that. But you're always going to need that human element, and using those digital marketers who are continually learning, continually on the technology trends. Those are the ones that are going to excel and solidify their positions and become in demand in the future.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go wrong with digital marketing. It didn't exist 5 years ago, and now it's one of the hottest things out there. But as someone mentioned on the panel, you can't be great at everything. Find your strengths and focus in on that, and partner and team with other people who have different strengths than you. The more different capabilities we all bring to the table, the stronger the whole element is going to be.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Catherine?
So just a quick note on what John brought up about like the research aspect of ChatGPT. I just want to point out that you also need to really wear your critical glasses when you do that, because it's happened more than once. And I have a friend who's a university professor who showed me samples of this, that like ChatGPT actually makes up bogus references when it comes to like doing research. So you may like it can get you going, but like you still need to be the subject matter expert, and you need to understand like, is this actually correct what I'm seeing here, So just quick note on that. And in terms of us discussing back and forth, like how do you get started, with a career in digital marketing and what is the demand? The one thing I really want to hammer home for like, especially a Palestinian audience, is that you should not be afraid to specialize, because there is a trend, or a tendency, I should say, in Palestine, regardless of what function you're looking at, whether it's being a designer or a programmer or a marketeer, people think you need to just, be able to do it, whatever that means. Like when I hear people say, I do digital marketing, I'm already a little bit put off, because I'm like, what does that mean? Are you doing email marketing? Are you doing social media? Is it paid social? Like, what kind of channel is it that you've really mastered? Like, what is it that you do that you're great at? And you need to be able to say that, like, okay, I will commit to like, not necessarily one channel, but like an area where you can like work on that and improve your skills over time, because that's where you'll be able to get a job. If you just have a little bit of experience creating some posts that you publish on social media and you've done a few boosts here and there, there's not really much work in that area for you in terms of like an internationally competitive market. And you should not be afraid of like making that leap and choosing. Just because you choose one thing now doesn't mean you can't change later on. Like I started with content creation and events, and have moved into partnerships and influencers, and then later on into lead generation, email marketing, CRM. And later on, again, I've looked more at like paid social and SEA. So like you can definitely work around different areas, but you need to sort of choose an area where you're excellent. That's where you're gonna, make the big bucks and make sure you can secure some clients.
That's actually quite interesting. And for Shade, I will give you the floor just 1 minute. Someone asked if he work in engineering and he's wondering if he can begin working on digital marketing. My background is IT. When I started with digital marketing back in 2014, I was just a developer. I'm like a lousy developer, not that successful, to be honest. But the changes it's happened. You start, for example, specialized as I'm gonna actually hammer the point of that Catherine mentioned. You start specializing in one sectors and one specialty. Back then, it was social media, in particular, social media advertisement, and then you expand to start working on a vastly different topics. Now I work on email marketing. I work on SEO. I work on Google Ads, B2B to marketing. I'm still trying to enter it, but LinkedIn is a messy place to start with. Felicia, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so I was gonna say that it's really important when someone comes, because I talk to a lot of people who want to move into no-code tech, and they're like, oh, I am a digital marketer. And I'm like, what does that mean, right? What part of digital marketing, right, are you, specializing, or are you like focusing in? Because it's like a really broad industry. But I want to speak to brands in Palestine or companies in Palestine hiring one person, right, and expecting them to do all the work. And I can totally relate, because back in Nigeria, people will hire one social media manager and they will expect the person to manage all the social media platforms, write articles, paid ads, and all of that. And I want to say that, the reason why this conversation is even holding is so that you can have, a leverage in the international market. I want to believe that it's a lot better, right, with international companies and with startups in the US. And I also know that these startups are always also looking like into regions like, like Palestine, like Nigeria, to look for people who are specialists in niche areas and pay them, well. Yes, they might not pay as well as maybe hiring someone in the US, but when you compare it to how much a brand in Nigeria and Palestine will pay, right, it's a lot, like almost 10 times better, right? And that was my experience in Nigeria. So I'm just saying that it is best to pick one thing, or one or two things, right? When I got into it, I started with content writing. That was my niche. And then over time, I moved into email marketing, because let me ask you, if you were in an hospital and someone says, oh, I am a medical doctor, I treat children, I treat women, I do all sorts, and you need like a brain surgery, for example, and there is that option. And then there is the option of someone who says, hi, I am a brain surgeon. I've been a brain surgeon for the past 5 years. I have operated, people with this particular condition. Who are you most likely to go with? Who are you most likely to give your money to? The person who is like a specialist. And I also want to say, like, the whole part of not being afraid to start with something, because most times people want to generalize, because they're like, oh, what if there's a job opportunity here? What if this is what is paying more, that I get to miss out on that? But you can always evolve. I started out in content writing, moved to SEO, did a bit of email marketing. Now I am in brand marketing. So you can always evolve, but do not be afraid to specialize. And when you're positioning yourself, which is really important, right? Don't just say, oh, I am a freelance digital marketer. No, if you are, don't say that. Say, I am a B2B marketer working with, SaaS companies to do this. That already speaks a level of expertise and commands your market value.
Right. Guara, and then Catherine. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I just forget what to say. Guara, the floor is yours.
So I'll just take it from further about specialization and generalization, and it's just a different opinion. It's not necessarily disagreement or agreement. I have worked extensively in multiple countries in Africa. I've worked in India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. I've also worked in the Middle East, in UAE, earlier in my career. And I completely understand when some of the people are asking, what about the generalization that one looks for? I totally get that. And even within Canada, I know we get these jobs. I on LinkedIn, it's there are times when you get posts from companies in Canada which talk about hiring a digital marketer, for example, who has to do multiple things, copywriting and content marketing and email marketing and so on and so forth. And then the salaries are like at a very low level. So it's a challenge at most places, but it really depends on what we are looking at, and as candidates and applicants, and as well as employers hiring a digital marketing person or somebody. So for example, taking the doctor's example, yes, as a specialist, we would not go to a gynecologist for a heart problem, absolutely. But at the first level, when we go, especially in Canada, you have to go to a family physician who's a generalist, who will have a broad idea about everything, and then that person will recommend you to somebody else. The reason I'm giving this example is that when I was working for example, in Nigeria, back in the day, there was no digital marketing per se, except for some Google ads and this and that and Facebook ads and whatnot. But I do know that even within marketing, in the regular sense of the term, we were expected to do a lot of work as just one person. As John mentioned, that as a marketing entire department is just one person. So what I'm trying to say is that for specifically people in Palestine who are looking into the digital marketing as a career, I would agree with the panel that you should have some specialization that you're good at, which does not mean that you have no clue about what other stuff is all about. So it's not to say, when we talk about specialization, it does not mean that I am very good at content marketing, but I have absolutely no idea about what is email marketing or what is can I make a poster, very basic poster. I cannot do anything, but I can only do content marketing. So I don't think we mean that. What we are probably saying is, we have basics, we know basics. So when we're getting into a company, we go with something in mind, that this is what we are good at, because that helps us do other things better. Once we are good at something, as Catherine mentioned, she started with something, then evolved and went to something else, and then evolved and went to something else. So even though companies expect you to do everything, a lot of it we can pick up on the job, as long as we know what we are good at. And that there's no, I mean, one can't really, as again Catherine mentioned earlier, that it's not enough to hammer it. It's good to be a generalist as a basic level. So for example, I'm a scientist. I know as I become a scientist, when I do my PhD, before that I've done biology and botany, chemistry and physics and mathematics and everything, but my PhD is in one subject. So at the entry level, we are not expecting everybody to be PhD, even in the thing that we are good at. But we should be generalists at a basic level, do our digital marketing course from Google, for example, or LinkedIn has options. And from there, we move on to getting what we want to do. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Gaurav. Actually, it's very interesting. I was actually going to say the same things about the doctor example. You always start with a general practitioner, and then you go to the specialized one. And I think this is also apply to digital marketing. You could start with very general, someone who does everything, but then you start building a team of highly skilled talents, and it's just like that to support you in it. Catherine.
I just wanted to return to the comment about what the current Palestinian market offers. And I just want to make it very clear that, having spent some time in Palestine now, I know that the market does not demand what you guys need in order to become great digital marketeers. And it's not at all aligned with what's required to make it on an international scale. That's why I'm bringing this up, because I think everyone who's in this room today, you've already taken a step in the direction of showing that, like, you want more than what the current market is offering you, and you're willing to go above and beyond. And that's why I'm saying this is so, so, so important. Like, part of the reason why I started Olives and Heather in the first place was because I saw this massive gap in the market. I've come across people that have 5 years experience working for Jawal, who still would not be able to perform the same as a fresh graduate in Europe. And I was appalled by this, because it's not because of people and not having the capabilities. It's about how the system is sort of set up and rigged, and people need like the chances to like go above and beyond that. And I think all of you really have that intention. So that's why you need to know, like, this is the direction I'm heading in. So if you do specialize, there will be work for you. And as you grow, you will do great. I know a content marketeer in Gaza, for example. She makes more money per month as a content marketeer than some of the content marketeers I know in Amsterdam, for example. So it's not about where you're based. If you have the capability to match like international standards, you can do so well. Like I really believe in that, and that is like the mission of what I'm trying to achieve. So ignore like, you know, what you're being told in terms of like, no, like just try to do everything. It's not just a Palestinian company thing. Any startup is going to hire a marketing manager with like no experience, like 1 or 2 years, and tell them like, you have to do everything. And like people don't know that. That's why I keep saying as well, your greatest asset is your ability to learn. The amount of things where I've been told by either a CEO or my senior marketing manager, whatever, like, oh, we need to do 1, 2, 3. I'm like, okay, I'll just go and Google and figure that out for you. So going above and beyond that and taking charge of your own destiny, your own career, and saying like, this is how I'm going to make it there. That's the way to go. And about how to choose the right thing as a starting point, I usually try to divide it into programmatic marketing and communications / brand. So you have to understand whether you're more of a storyteller or you're more of a data numbers kind of person. And from there, you can sort of dig into like, what are the channels that go with that and start exploring. It doesn't mean you can't like mix the two. You should mix the two and you can learn as you go, but really start with what you're good at and what you feel comfortable with, because otherwise it's like, you know, judging a fish at how great it is at flying, you know? So start with what you're good at and work on that, make that better, and really hone that skill.
Thank you, Catherine. Actually, you will never know how horrible are you in writing content until you try. Speaking of personal experience, Bo, floor is yours.
Yeah, actually, the point I was going to say is very much in line with what we just talked about. I think specifically because our marketing team is still, you know, developing, so we're still at the beginning stage. So it's very hard to hire a bunch of specialists, even though it's very important to specialize, you know, in one area and really excel in one of the parts of digital marketing. But at this point, it's very difficult in the beginning. So I think, you know, it's important to have the basic skills and explore digital marketing and see for yourself, you know, what really interests you and what you really want to specialize in. But it's also important to have general knowledge and understand digital marketing in general.
Yeah, that's actually very pretty much, even I think we can all talk about from personal experience. Like digital marketing, you always start, as you all said, it's you always start general and then you become more specified in a certain subfield within digital marketing, because it's a massive world, and whatever you're gonna do, you will never be expert in everything, but you can always be jack of all trades. He's a master of none, but he's better than no one, actually. So now, actually, I think we're moving to our final stages. It is a very inspiring, actually, conversation. It's about building strategies for marketers, about people, what is the main advice you would give someone who want to build his personal brand as a digital marketer, or so yeah. Gaurav, let's start with you. You want to say something, so let's start with you.
Thank you, Ahmed. Actually, I was just going to the previous topic. I didn't realize we've changed, gone to the next one.
No worry.
I know, so it's okay. Just very brief. Basically, what just crossed my mind that for people who are looking into generalization versus specialization, it obviously has to be both at a certain time and then move into specialization. But specifically for the audience here, just a tip. I mean, this is just a feeling for me. It's not something that is developed right now. But in terms of the future of digital marketing, what I see is that there are some new fields which would come in very shortly, which is come into the mainstream. That is, they're already there, but come into the mainstream. That is, for example, the voice search, the smart speakers of Amazon and Siri and all that. So there will be a lot of marketing involved in that. I also see that there is this AR and VR, the augmented reality and virtual reality aspects. So if there are opportunities to learn online, that would be something for the audience. It would be something that would give them a lead and get into something that is up and coming and still developing, with probably lesser competition as we speak now. That's all.
Interesting. All right. Let's start with you, Catherine.
I'm very happy for someone else to also go before me because I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking.
No, you're saying great things. Keep going.
All right. Well, for me personally, when it comes to building that personal branding profile is figuring out, first of all, what you're about. It's almost like doing a little brand exercise for yourself. Like, what are the things you care about? What's important to you? What is it you want your potential clients or future companies to know about you? Like, what sort of keywords do you want them to connect with you? And then based on that, for me, LinkedIn has worked really well. Really being consistent with writing on LinkedIn, writing on topics that are relevant to you and the work you do and how you want to be seen. I don't just write about marketing. I also write about things to do with tech entrepreneurship and Palestine specifically and different things in that sort of arena so that people think of me as a subject matter expert. And that has worked beautifully for me. Like, I've yet to launch my website. So for a year and a half, all of my leads have come through essentially my private LinkedIn. And that, as a next step, is essentially how I've leveraged that for networking. All I can say there is, like, there will be opportunities and people love throwing ideas of like, oh, let's go to this event or like, let's do coffee chats. Like, yes, I'm a firm believer in that, but do it in a mindful way. Like, go in there with an intention of what you want to achieve. Like, just going to conference after conference without really having an action plan, who you want to meet, what you want to talk about, is not really going to serve you. Messaging random people like, I would love to have a coffee chat, without being specific about what topics you want to cover, what you're hoping to gain from it, is also not going to serve you. So you need to be a little bit specific about it. And at the same time, also be patient. I've learned that tenacity is the greatest skill of the successful founder, because you will get a lot of, I don't even want to say no's, you'll get a lot of silence, like when you reach out to people or when you try to make things happen. But it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you or your approach. It could be that, you know, this is just not the right time to connect with this person. Like, don't take it personally. Unfortunately, we are not the main character in the lives of others. So most people, if they get a message at an unfortunate time, they would not think, oh, Catherine's terrible, I don't want to talk to her. They're more like, not now. So it has nothing to do with you. You just have to keep going, believing in yourself, staying consistent. And yeah, just really like keep working on it, keep trying. That's, I guess, my best tip for that. The channel and the platform, that depends on like who you're trying to reach and what kind of company you want to work for. For me, LinkedIn is good. Others, maybe TikTok is better.
Yeah, and those just come down to tactics. But what you said, Catherine, you know, who are you and what do you stand for? What are you about? Communicate that. You know, where you communicate that, that's down the road. But you know, what is your brand? One just side story, when I talk branding with organizations, okay, we need a new brand. John, how can you help? The very first thing I do is I call it a brand audit. I have them gather a hard copy of every brochure, every invoice, every set of instructions, packing slip, email signatures, trade show signage, everything. Put it all out on a table. What does it look like? 9 times out of 10, it looks like it comes from 20 different companies. That's the, you know, the eye awakening, the aha moment. Okay, now let's make a list of every one of those things on the table, and let's, you know, how one, you know, okay, here's your hit list of things that you need to align with your brand. That's separate. But also, what is your brand? You know, and it's same as personal. Who are you? What do you stand for? Where are you going? And, you know, how are you going to get there? You know, that's your communication tactics. That's your strategy. But I think that's a starting point, you know, for a personal brand. It's the same as your company's brand. You know, work your project, work your personal brand, work that strategy just as you would a job.
That's very insightful. I need to think about that because I'm horrible when it's come to personal brand.
It's yeah,
um,
we all.
Bo, the floor is yours.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think it's incredibly important to, find out what you stand for, what you want, the story you want to tell, what's your niche, and who do you want to reach with this message as well. And then you can really, start developing this and create this personal brand and create something meaningful. Because there's so many people out there, sharing stories and wanting to put themselves out there. But if you have something special to say and to make it personal, then you're already on the right track. And of course, continue learning and talking to other people, networking, and joining conversations.
All right. Thank you, Bo. Gaurav?
So very quickly, I must say I'm a real, I give proposals and presentations to people on how to create their personal brand, and I'm personally a laggard in this. So, and this actually is inciting me, this discussion is inciting me to start working out much better, as you said, Ahmed, to own my own personal brand, especially on LinkedIn. If you look at my profile, it's very basic and it's something completely random. So I need to do that. And as the panelist said, that the personal brand, especially, it's not just because of because somebody's at a more senior level in marketing that you need a personal brand, but especially for people who are even starting their own work, creating your personal brand is quite important. It's my excuse, for example, is that I've always been employed and working with companies. So when I move from one company to another, for example, it's been mostly people knowing you and networking. So they don't really look at my LinkedIn profile or my website because people are aware of what I do or don't do. But a lot of people starting off in their career or who are launching their own private business or who are looking at, like the audience from Palestine, if they're looking at opportunities outside of Palestine, maybe remote work, personal branding is the only way they will be visible to the rest of the world. So in that sense, as the people before me in the panel have mentioned, that who you are, what you stand for, what is your specialization, you can still do generalization, don't worry about that, but focus on what you're good at and make that as your highlight, and use the multimedia platforms that are available. So LinkedIn is good. You have, if you're doing your private jobs, remote work, Fiverr, for example, as a platform is pretty good at giving you jobs, remote work. And then use whatever thread in Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, depending on the kind of work that you're doing. Write your blogs, create a website. It doesn't take a lot of money and effort. But whatever you do, as John mentioned earlier, that there should be a consistent thread across everything that you do. So, and it's okay for you, for example, to start with a certain mindset that, let's say I'm good at content marketing, and you do something which talks about that and the kind of audiences, the kind of content you create. And then 2 years down the line, you want to move on to doing something else. It's okay. You can still change the proposition, but what you're doing today should be consistent across all platforms that you use and be very focused. I think that's how it goes.
Thank you. Thank you, Gaurav. Felashante.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, especially for beginners and people looking to get into the industry where you have, or like you already have like pretty established people and you're trying to make your voice heard. And I know that because of this, a lot of beginners tend to position as experts when in actual fact they are beginners and they're just learning. So I just want to say that avoid that trap of positioning as something you're not. Instead, be authentic and share your journey as you go. Share your struggles, share what you're learning, share the results you've gotten. Because the truth is that you can position online as an expert, but when you get hired, I mean, by the end of the day, if you get hired and people see that you can't produce the same results that you claimed online, it's going to ruin your reputation, right? So you want to make sure that doesn't happen. So instead, share how you're learning. If you're taking a certification today and you passed it, put it online and say, oh, I'm excited to finally pass this. I'm excited to be learning this. So when someone hires you, they know what level you're at. And you even get to under promise and over deliver. So that's when you now deliver like exceptional results. They're like, oh, this person is really good. And yes, I know that building a personal brand online like has opened a lot of doors for me personally, but I also know that people talk, right? And if you're hired and you can't, deliver the results, people will also talk. So back up your online claims by doing quality work and treating your employers, treating whatever brand you work with, build relationships, because at the end of the day, that's like what matters. People can see you online, but you see people talk even when they want to hire. Maybe you might get away with it for the first 2 or 3 companies that you get to work with. But if you go around positioning an expert when in fact you're just learning, you're going to ruin your reputation in the long run. So personal branding is not saying you're what you're not. It's not positioning as an expert when you're not. It's really just sharing your journey, being authentic and transparent. Yes, I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. Thank you, Fibani. Actually, this was a very insightful discussions. We were nervous because me and Deanna, because it's our first time, but I think it went all right. So
you guys have done a fabulous job. Thank you for that.
You. But before we move to the questions, we have the last 15 minutes. So guys, if you have any questions, please raise your hands and
throw them in the chat or whatever is suitable. And we'll tackle it like one by one. There's a QA section here, but we never used it before. But if anyone have any questions, please raise your hands and you can join or leave it on the chat. Before we start, so if anyone has the questions, please raise your hand right now. Until then, I would love to take this 5-minute opportunity to tell you guys that we have TAB is launching a new programs for digital marketing. That we will help you people to support you with all the skills you need to start your career in digital marketing. Especially starting from, we will be covering both power skill or soft skills as well as hard skill that's related to digital marketing, from creating content throughout exploring the use of AI, and also as well it's pretty much working on writing a very strong brand strategy and brand image for the companies that you'll be working with. TAB is here also to help the Palestinians to land a job with international companies remotely. So we'll be supporting you all the way until you land the job you are hoping for, whether with Palestinian company or with international company, but preferably with international company, so you learn the full experience. Anyway, so anyone has questions? Roland, if I missed anything and want to add it, please go ahead. Right.
Yeah, thanks, Ahmed. Hi, everyone. This was really great. I really enjoyed everyone's input. Really inspiring. And yeah, the reason that we're doing like a range of webinars is also, of course, that TAB is launching a digital marketing program. So that's really exciting as well. I work closely with Ahmed and Diana in the marketing team for TAB, and yeah, we are really looking forward to it. We are putting together a group of experts and mentors and trainers, and I think you can expect the whole program to be like this. So a lot of people from a lot of different countries and cultures, just bringing a lot of different perspectives and inspiring stories, and really closely guiding the talent that we will bring together from Palestine, from the beginning till the end. So yeah, that's going to be really exciting. So for everyone that is potentially looking to apply, please do so, and everybody else, yeah, we would love to include you in the program as well in any sort of role. So if you're interested to join as a mentor, for example, we'd love to have you share your insights and closely guide one or two youthful talent from Palestine, getting them really job ready and fully set up to get that job after graduation. So yeah, I think that was what I wanted to share. Thanks again for all the input, and yeah, just for being here with us. Of course, that was great. Thanks so much.
All right. Actually, I think we don't have any questions.
Does anyone
Right.
have any questions? I just want to say something that I was super excited to like hear everyone's insight all throughout the whole entire like the discussion. And what I noticed is that digital marketing has to do something with it's very personable. And so like figuring out your own journey, discovering how to express yourself and because you're using different type of outlets to like send the message. And so listening to you guys, I recognize that even just you guys providing just personal stories, that how authentic and personable the journey is to yourself in order to connect to people on the outside, which is another way to express yourself, which is super interesting. So it actually motivated me as well. But
Yeah, and
yeah, go ahead.
sorry to interrupt. I just, I think, Catherine, you pointed out that many of the people in Palestine don't have LinkedIn profiles, whereas here in the US, that is a, must have. That's a starting point. So it's great to have this global conversation so we can all be better in what we do and understand the differences in the different areas and how we can help each other. I think that's what it's all about. So we all are successful.
All right. We have two questions. Lamis, can you go ahead?
Yeah, hi, that's Lamis. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. It's really amazing. I'm a content creator in Palestinian market. I believe AI is an amazing tool to generate more ideas for the content. At the same time, I think AI, it's not enough to create customized content for all the businesses. So my question, because I have a business idea, a startup idea, does AI could be a limitation for those who wanted to build new tools for the content creation or digital marketing in general? I know it cannot be in general, but my question is specifically in content creation in the Middle East.
Any of the speakers feel like they can add on or respond?
I think it's a starting point. I think I wouldn't go fully in. I think it's a starting point and may help you generate some ideas and even an outline. But I think, with your expertise based on your idea, I think it needs to come from you, but then maybe some AI tools can help clean it up or refine it. But I think that the bulk of it needs to come from you.
Just
thank you.
Yeah.
Just adding to that, what John is saying, that AI, I think, is at this time, AI is not an answer to most things. It is, while it claims that it generates data based on what is in existence, even that claim needs to be taken with a pinch of salt, because a lot of the data that AI reads, the language models that they read, is what is there available on the internet. So if you have a new idea, the language models will not generate a new idea for you. They will give you ideas from an existing set of ideas that are already available on the net. And on top of that, a lot of the AI is, I think, primarily English data that is available in the English language on the internet. That's my guess. I'm not so sure. So for the Middle East, the Arabic database that is there and the communication that is, then I've seen there's so much Arabic knowledge available on the internet. I don't think Chat GPT or Bard captures that. So if you have something that you want to do in terms of content marketing for your business idea, you can take some inputs from that, but you need to do your own research. And that inputs will come in purely from a European Western context, more than coming in from the Middle Eastern context. That's my 2 bits.
Thank you,
Yes.
Gaurav. All right, Karam, you have the questions?
Yes, thank you. And thank you so much, guys, for the wonderful information you give us. So currently right now, I'm just debating with the first step in digital marketing. And currently right now, I'm working customer care, like with real estate companies. But I just have one question. from your experience, guys, like from your first steps, first time you started digital marketing, was it stressful or not? Because right now, like customer care is very stressful. So this is why I'm looking like for a new approach and to check new things. So I just need your experience. Like first time you started, was it stressful or it will be like easier in time and so? And thank you so much again.
Thank you, Karan, for asking. I'm sorry I'm butting in quickly. My apologies. First of all, hats off to you as a customer service professional. And the reason I'm saying it is that I've worked in marketing and we've handled customer service. And even in Canada, I know how really stressful the job is. When I get agitated with my cell phone service, I call up the phone company and I'm put on hold through multiple voice messages, and I have to press this number for that and that and that, and then wait 20 minutes for somebody to answer me. And when the customer service agent answers me, I would be angry, I could shout, I could scream. The customer service agent is not at fault for anything that has happened with my cell phone service, but that's the only person I can vent my frustration on. So hats off to you. I know the tough job that you guys do. Thank you for that. Beyond that, I think digital marketing, again, I've been in marketing. I think some of the panel members have been in marketing for a long while. So probably for us, the transition was not that challenging. But if you are somebody who's in customer service, my submission purely from my experience would be that it should not be that stressful for you to get into digital marketing. You've already handled the stress. Now comes the easy part.
Catherine, you were adding.
So I think what makes digital marketing stressful is the fact that like you do need to keep up with things. And even if you've decided like, let's say threads is not going to be the way forward for like your company or whatever, you will get questions from higher ups that will frustrate you and drive you nuts. And sometimes you'll have to do work that you know is already failed before you start just to prove your point. So those kind of things will make your life stressful. And because you are the connection between the company and people, that also adds stress because you can't plan ahead and just follow like a roadmap. The way that marketing is done in a corporate fashion, like for example, L'Oreal just finished doing their planning for 2024, for example. That doesn't work for most companies because you need to be flexible and adaptable, like what's happening in the market. So the fact that you need to always be on your toes, like you can plan maybe 80%, but 20% will be spontaneous. That also makes your life stressful. You need to be up to speed on current affairs. Like maybe you wrote a post about something that was a really great idea yesterday, but then something happens tomorrow. So that post is something you can't go ahead and publish. Like Palestine is an example. You need to factor in things like strikes or political statements that are put out. And you need to always be responsive to that when you do your work. So there's like a lot of different stress factors that will have an impact on your job, but the job itself is so exciting and so rewarding because in a way, like you sort of have a goal and it's your job to get there. It's not like you're given like a toolbox and told like it has to be this way. Like sure, early on in your journey, when you're learning and working for more senior people, there will be some guidelines and whatnot. But really with marketing, there's no one correct answer. Like you can string together a mix of channels and approaches and different campaigns and messages and reach your desired outcome. And that makes it very rewarding and very exciting. And it's also a place where you can really use the world as your playground. Like if you try a campaign and it doesn't work, you could try something else tomorrow and see if you can fix it and make it better. So in that sense, it's a really, really cool job. And it's like infinite what the possibilities are, as long as you have the mindset of wanting to understand your customer, knowing what it is that you're trying to achieve, and then having the willingness to go and learn.
Well said, Catherine. It's yeah, having that focus on where you're going and what you're looking to accomplish is the key. And like Catherine said, there is no guidebook. What you do for your annual planning, it's wrong day one, and that's okay because it's not like finance or accounting where they're dealing with numbers. It's not black or white. It's completely gray area. And as long as you're maintaining your focus and trying things and looking at the metrics and the analytics and then making adjustments, if something's working, great. What else can you do? What adjustments can you make to make it be even more effective? If something's not working, why? You know, the data will help tell you and lead you down that path. Another thing, you know, I was just kind of thinking, you know, first starting in you know, digital marketing, though remember, I'm old and there wasn't digital marketing when I started, but I got this overwhelming feeling. How am I gonna get all of this stuff done in the day or in the week or in the month? And over the years, I've learned, you know, organize yourself by projects, by activities, prioritize things. There's only one of you, or you know, your one team or your partners. You can only do so much, but so be sure to be organized. Keep your digital assets, photos, content pieces, video pieces in one place so you can easily find a EPS version of your logo. You know, so it's about organization and setting up that system that will save you time, that will save you stress and anxiety down the road. And once that's set up, it's just fun from there.
I'm sorry, I'm always on mute and forgot that
Go
unmute himself. Bo, do you mind if we take the question from Jannat and then we get back to you? Jannat, go ahead. This is our last question for today. So go ahead.
All right. Hello, everyone. This is Jeanette. I just wanted to ask about you have to personalize your brand. With all these trends, whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, all over social media, how can you personalize your brand and your content with all these trends that you have to follow up with? Like, this is like, you can't have a personalized brand if you have to do every trend that it's on social media. How can you follow up with that? Thank you.
And very good questions. Bo, can you go ahead?
Yeah, of course. I think, you know, there's a new trend every single day almost on socials, and there's something new popping up, you know, 24/7. So I don't think, you know, if something really doesn't align with your personal brand or what you're trying to put out there, you don't have to follow every single one of them. You know, jump on the ones that you feel a connection to, that you feel like, you know, aligns with what you want to put out there and how you want to position your brand, and yeah, go from there.
So if I may just add to that, Jannat, in my view, personal branding is not about how many trends that we are talking about or how many new media channels that we are covering or are on them. Personal branding is what we stand for as a person, as a professional. So if you are on Facebook, for example, or if you're on Twitter, for example, you may notice that there are people, or even on TikTok, you may notice that there are people who only talk about songs, or people who talk about politics, or people who talk about post videos and tweet about cats and dogs and funny videos and stuff. So that in a way is personal branding, because these people, if they are on, let's say I'm the person who talks about posts videos about cats, I would be doing the same on Twitter, on Threads and Facebook and Instagram. And that is my personal branding. So if you see my name on any platform, you will see, you will know that, oh, he must be tweeting about cats and dogs. So, and then if I'm not on Threads, it's okay. I don't have to be on Threads. Or if I'm not on Facebook, even that's okay. But wherever I am, I'm consistent in the message that I'm delivering. I'm focused on the target audience that I'm talking to, and I'm focused on the product or the service that I'm communicating about. That's all there is to personal branding. You don't have to worry about being everywhere at all times. Thank you.
Well said. And as long as you're being consistent, across any of those channels, whichever you choose. And it's speaking to who you are and what you're about. You're going to be successful. Just keep at it.
All right. Okay. I think we are done for today. Thank you all. Unless anyone have anything, one last thing to add, we're more than happy to hear it. Okay.
Well, thank you for having us.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you for joining us.
Thank you for
Thanks,
having
Anna.
us. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you,
It's
guys.
been fun. And now I have new friends all over the world. So this is
Absolutely.
It was a
Thank you
pleasure
all,
to have
guys.
you all. Thank you all for joining us today. It was a very insightful and very insightful and God, I forgot another word. It was
Go with moving works. It was
moving and motivation sessions. We are very inspired today, and we're really very glad to have you all guys with us. And thank you very much. And see you in the next session sometime soon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.